Okay, great. Thank you and welcome. Yeah, again, it's really wonderful to be back here and very exciting for me on a Friday night, to be honest, in this lockdown stage, to think that 60 to 70 people are jumping online just to listen to me is quite a unknown for me, but very exciting. So thank you very much. And just in advance, I want to say thank you to everybody that I am going to run a little bit over. It won't be too much, but I really just couldn't cut the presentation. It just felt like the examples that I've been giving and the way that I've been sharing my information just seemed very valuable to everybody. So thank you once again, and thank you, Cheryl. And if you're happy, I'm happy to move on. Have we got the results of the poll yet?
I just refreshed them. My apologies. The only thing that I actually got to read, the worst stroke to teach is butterfly. That was like a resounding 75%. Wow. Okay. Sorry, I'll get them through the talk though and shoot them through to you.
That's fine. You know what, even if I suppose we look at them at the end, that's no problem at all. It's always just nice to know, but to hear the butterfly. So next week is going to be fun with breaststroke and butterfly. I find a lot of people really, with regards to those two strokes, struggle, and oh, I love them. I love them. I love them. Right. Just let me know when I can jump onto my screen sharing, and then I'll get going.
Off you go.
Okay, excellent. All right, let me pull this up. Sorry, just a moment. I know I've got to just share in case I need sound. Excellent. Okay, everybody, and yeah, welcome to the second talk. It's our progressive drills to developing strokes at a learn to stroke level, and we're working on freestyle. But yet again, just so important to point out to everybody that this is not stroke development, this is learn to stroke level. These are kids coming out of the Learn to Swim program, and now we've got to get them learning strokes. So as you would have seen if you were here with me on Monday, there is a lot of information that I'm sharing because I'm not just throwing the drills at you. I'm adding in teaching tips and fun tools to use just to make it exciting for the kids, to get around the boringness of repetition, and just to have fun and great quality learning. So yeah, let's get on to freestyle. There's a little bit of my run background and experience. The only thing I wanted to point out today is in my academic background, my highest qualification is in sports psychology. So you'll probably notice that I use specific words or techniques, and no, that's because the sports psychologist and the mind is such a big part of who I am when I'm teaching and coaching. And I think that's what sets up a great teacher. So let's have a look here. It's a quote from John Leonard. He's ASCA's executive director. The most important person in all of swimming is the Learn to Swim teacher who helps the scared and terrified child overcome their fear and learn to blow bubbles. If the child learns to get a successful air exchange early in their career, they will be a successful and happy swimmer. And if they don't, they will never be happy in the water. And this for me, just there's so many points in this quote that I completely agree with. I really do feel that the Learn to Swim teacher is paramount to setting up a swimming career, no matter if it is leisure and fitness or if it is becoming a professional athlete. You know, we're the ones, the Learn to Swim instructors and the Learn to Stroke instructors, we're the ones. So we've got to get it right from our side. The other thing that this quote is pointing to is the number one fact that if you're not getting a good quality air exchange, the swimmer will not be happy in the water. And that couldn't be more true when it comes to freestyle. So please, through each of these exercises, there's a big focus on breathing, and you need to make sure that at a Learn to Swim level that you've already got that sorted out. Right, the talk format, just in case the newbies are on here with us, I do a little bit of an intro, assumption, and caveats. Just very important to know where I'm talking from. It's like giving directions and you don't tell the person at the road you're starting on, and you just say go left, go right, and past that tree in that shopping center, and they have no idea where you are. So let's at least land in a position and move from there. Like I mentioned, I wanted to add quality to these talks, and so I'm doing the Great Teacher Manifesto, just tips on how to be a great teacher. We'll then move through all the progressive drills and teaching points and fun tools, and then get on to some questions, which I'm really enjoyed the questions from last week. So guys, please jump in. So the intro, freestyle is a stroke swum on yaw. And again, I've left it blank like last time, because although we want to jump ahead and say, oh, well, it's swum on the front, it is front stroke, freestyle. I want you to just shake that mind position up and realize that there's so much rotation that freestyle is swum, you know, on the side as well. Fundamental to freestyle is breathing, as you see in green there. That for me is key. If the breathing is out, you'll find every other mistake will start creeping in. We know the stroke also relies heavily on balance and rotation. Kicking is vital and needs to be consistent and effective, and a strong propulsive phase is imperative. In freestyle, once kids start swimming 25 meters and more, getting across the pool from A to B, 8 out of 10 relies on that strong propulsive phase, and only 2 out of 10 relies on the kicking. So you start to see how important it actually begins to be to get a good underwater catch, pull, push, as well as rotation. Just that suggestion again, I just want to point it out just as a reminder to everyone that I always suggest that, that we be in the water for longer than you think. So you can have a hands-on approach in assisting the swimmer for perfect practice. Small little tweaks of a head position, elbows, helping on the hand, assisting with the shoulder rotation. They are small, limited touches, but can make the biggest difference in creating quality swimming. Moving on to the assumptions, we're just assuming here that the swimmer or swimmers are water safe, that it's an appropriate environment, there's 1 to 4 swimmers in the group, and that they've learned the following foundational skills. The first one is, as I've mentioned already, effective air exchange. I've put number 10 in brackets there, and that's just because the way I like to work is ensuring that children can do what we call bobbing for bubbles. So they're holding on the wall, they're under for long exhalation, bob up for 1 inhalation, and then straight back under. And if you can follow a rhythm of 10 bobbing for bubbles, long exhalation, 1 quick breath, you'll have no problem with freestyle breathing. The reason it has to be 10 is I often find a problem creeps in at 5, 6, and 7. So really, that's just to eradicate all problems there. The other foundational skill, front floating and recovery to back float. That turning position of the swimmer from the front float onto the back recovery is so great in that ability to learn how to roll to breathe for freestyle as well as rotation. Basic quality front kick is important, and then streamline ability as well. Note that I always put the progressions are down between 5 and 8 meters for the little learn to swim kiddies. And then as they're progressing, we're looking at 10 meters, 12 meters, and today we'll even look at 25 meters. Caveats again for everybody, please remember, this is just one way. It's not the only way. I didn't invent all of the drills. The drills are out there. I've just created a progression that works for me, and tips and tools that I find very useful to make it an exciting lesson. So yeah, it's not the only way, but I love it. I'm very passionate about it actually. So yeah, just also another thing to remember that it's not a one size fits all. Swimmers are really very individualistic, and if you're going to struggle with something, then it is quite important that you look to adapt wherever you need to fit into the needs of that swimmer. Right, minimize repetitious mistakes. This is my biggie, very, very big. I am very strong on making sure that the swimmers are not repeating continuous mistakes. Absolutely fine if there's an error, and if it takes them 10 tries, it's no problem, but please don't get them swimming half a length of 12.5 meters or 25 meters making a mistake. We're just reinforcing errors. And then some little ones for myself personally when it comes to freestyle. at the learn to stroke level, I do no pulling only. I find the focus really has to be on the breathing, the body position, rotation and kicking, and then the arm. We're not, if we get into pulling only, we're going to get these swimmers who don't know how to rotate their bodies. They don't know how to use their arms correctly, and kicking just goes out the window. I also suggest avoiding catch up with a board. I never use this. I'm going to just demo to you quickly. If you can see, I'm holding a little book here as my board. People are using catch up with a board, are swimming, and the hand is catching the board there, swimming and catching the board there. You will see in my exercises why I really don't teach that way. It just causes so many problems in teaching of technique, so I completely avoid catch up with the board. And then limited use of full freestyle while there are breathing problems or any head position errors. So rather go right back down to the basics and get the breathing right with some basic body position and kicking before you get right into full freestyle. Right, moving on. Just to show you, this is one of my favorite books. Ernest Hemingway, The Old Man and the Sea. It used to be an olden day movie, and it's a beautiful book, very easy read, but just such a great story of triumph. Anyway, just so you can get to know me on a Friday night. Okay, great teacher manifesto. These points really, I'm just touching on a little bit of what I was speaking about last time, that to develop the knowledge of drills and exercises is imperative. You got to keep updating and learning like you're doing here, but please, you can learn from anywhere and anything. I often get my best games and explanations coming directly from the kids. So just keep yourself open. And then B is to develop a teaching skill that is fun, firm, and fair. So I use the fun, firm, fair approach. That for me basically is I am very firm in setting very clear boundaries of what's appropriate behavior, what's not, enough freedom for them to perform, have errors, make mistakes, but know where that boundary line is. It's just a part of, you don't want to be herding cats and disciplining kids throughout your lessons. So a firm boundary is paramount. And then I'm very fair, as I mentioned, in the way I critique. I'm not just going to go and sprinkle glitter on everything good, bad, and ugly. I'll always, in a very gentle way, say to them, I can see you trying, let's give it a go again. It wasn't exactly right, but I think you can get it this time. So I'm very fair with my comments. And then obviously fun, I'm all about the fun and making sure that the swimmer as well as myself are enjoying the lesson. So if you can join A and B, you will be a fabulous teacher, and you probably already are. I'm just reaffirming. The bottom one there is perfect execution and fun explanation equals happy swimmer, happy teacher, and happy parent. Really, again, minimizing errors, creating opportunity for perfect execution through assistance and appropriate drills and explanations, as well as making it fun. You're going to have a happy swimmer because they're going to be confident, growing in skill, and enjoying the lesson. It'll be enjoyable for you, and watching your swimmer grow is the most rewarding thing. And of course, parents are going to really feel like they're getting value for money. Their child is swimming and their child is happy. More on the Great Teacher Manifesto, the teaching progression. So obviously we've also got to teach in a progressive way, and this goes for every exercise. That I use the acronym GO DEEP. We demonstrate, then there's an explanation, you give an example, and then off they go and practice. So the first step is just what I'm touching on today, which is the demonstration aspect. High quality demonstrations from the teacher and or a swimmer who performs the skill well. It's very, very important. You don't want any errors in your demonstration unless, because there's always a caveat and there's always an and in my pool, unless you're using the error to demonstrate a correction and enhance learning. You would have seen in some of the backstroke teaching tips that by teaching the wrong thing would immediately help the swimmer to know the correct thing. And so you can use an incorrect demo there, but more than likely it's only just to show the correction. The demo is so important because, as we know, most learners at this stage, in this time, in this generation, are very visual and kinesthetic learners. There is so much research out there that speaks volumes to the fact that them just watching a demonstration and watching other swimmers demonstrate, there is direct learning already through neural pathways. This can be beautifully used when you are sitting on the side of the pool starting a warm-up, the kids are not even in yet, and you're using that milkshake kicking exercise. You know, a lot of the kids are distracted and looking around and chatting to each other. Get them to get their attention focused, long legs, pointy toes, kicking, creating that little bubbly milkshake, not a huge splash, and they're already learning. So please know that every demonstration has got to be high quality, and I'd recommend practicing it. If you're not feeling confident, get in front of a mirror and practice. Right, so let's jump into freestyle. So as I mentioned, I always like to know what not to do because it often guides us as to where to go. So freestyle errors that you want to keep your eyes open for to avoid is a high head. And the high head is not only when they're swimming in the front, it could also be the high head in breathing, where you've got that gap between the arm and the head lifting up. There's more of a high head turning to breathe than a roll to breathe. So no high head. Low body position is incorrect. Again, that's that diagonal where the legs are kicking really deep, the hips have sunk, and the head and shoulders are quite high. We always want that vertical position. No body rotation is something that I would like to eradicate. Inconsistent kick, ineffective catch, and incorrect timing are all errors as well. So looking at what we do want to see, it's a neutral head. So the head always being in a neutral position with the spine. So if we are swimming freestyle, the eyes are down. And if we are rolling to breathe, that we are staying neutral and rolling out beautifully. A high body position in that horizontal, exactly like backstroke, but obviously we're now in the prone position on the tummy. We're also looking for excellent body rotation, good consistent kick, effective catch, and correct timing. Right, so I hope everyone's holding on to their seats, because if they were with me on Monday, they know that I'm a go, go, go. And yeah, it's just because I want to give you as much as I can in the time that we have. So I'll progressive
Deborah, sorry.
Yes.
A couple of questions coming through that the slides aren't that clear. They're clear my side, but every now and then they go blurry, and I'm assuming it's just the internet. But would we be able to maybe share this with coaches so that they can have the first few slides where they're saying it wasn't clear? Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Sorry,
Absolutely.
coaches, that's the best we can do for now.
And hopefully on the recording, it will come across nice and clear. From my side, it's looking okay, but let's see from your side. And if not, I'll make the slides available, no problem. Okay, so progressive freestyle drills. You'll notice that I have sectioned it into front kick, one arm, progressive drills, and then advanced into stroke development. So I don't talk too much into that advanced stroke development. It's just so you've got an idea of where you're going. Please, just for today, I would really, it's because we've got a lot to get through. I want you to really keep in mind that it's all about the progression, and you are not racing through all of these lists of exercises so that you are doing lots in a lesson. All of these exercises and drills are not done in one single lesson. It is broken up into progressive segments, and just really keep that in mind. Because I'm delivering it in one go tonight, it might appear as a all, but it isn't. And the one arm, the four, if you can see my cursor, these over here start to melt into this. So this is what it's going to look like, but you're going to use these kind of focus points. It'll make more sense once we get there. It's kind of, if you've seen the movie Inception, which is one of my favorite movies, like a dream into a dream into a dream. This is where we're going. It's like technique into technique into technique. It's Inception, guys. And yes, in bright blue over there, you're always watching and practicing quality breathing technique, always, in any of these aspects here. Right, so we go on to front kick, And as you know, I love that statement, always getting my kids to repeat it. If you're not kicking, you're sinking. And please, you'll also note that there's an A option and a B option. A is with the board and B is with no board. So for instance, our first exercise, which is streamline front kick, we take the board, and there's even an option 1 and 2 with the board. So yeah, inception, here we come. So let's get into it. Streamline front kick with the board. In the drill explanation, you'll see that option 1 is with the head out and option 2 is with the head in. I'm just going to jump here to the teaching points. Option 1 is where they're holding the top of the board, and option 2, I say we're holding the bottom of the board. If you want a little demonstration, it's just if they have the board with them, as they take the board, I always say this is the top of the board, we're holding option 1, top of the board, head out, or option 2 at the bottom of the board. Just while I'm demonstrating to you here as well, you'll notice on the fun tools that I've put there, make magic fingers on top and thumbs underneath, and then you make your thumbs disappear. Where are they gone? So I am quite particular that they're holding the board, fingers on top, thumb underneath, and in that streamlined position there. So some coaches will say, well, can't they hold the sides like that? Again, I just like to be quite particular, and I feel that setting up that hand position, the hand and the wrist and the arm are already getting in that long elongated streamline, and it just sets up a better hand for catching. If we teach it this way and now we want to start teaching that way, the body's already learning the wrong thing there. So use that fun tip to get the board correct. It's also just great because keywords, I'll say to my kids, great, get the board, top of the board, let's go, and they know exactly where we're going. So we'll start in the front ready position with the board. If they can stand, they'll be on the floor with 1 foot against the wall with the knee bent. Otherwise, they can have 1 hand on the wall, 1 hand on the board, and start in that ready position. Note that I put face in, eyes down. This would be for option 2 when the face is going in. Before they leave the wall, I want the face in, and I've given them the reminder that the eyes are down. You know, they're going to want to look up. You've got to really get them to keep focusing down. Great push and glide. Start kicking. Don't lose your speed. Fast little kicks, bubbly splashes, and I'm always getting them to work nice and quickly. If they are on option 2 at the bottom of the board with the eyes down, as soon as they've had that front breath, I will quickly get them to, again, eyes down, tuck the chin, go, 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 and then finish when you touch the wall. I use the cue now already that you finish when you touch the wall to start getting them into that habit of being able to swim hard and fast into the wall. If you notice, my fun tip and fun tool number 6 is called Turbo Boost Finish. I tell them that as they're coming to the end, everyone's tied in the race, and the racing cars, who's going to win? We'll put that Turbo Boost petrol on and finish nice and hard. And again, just something really important and great. The coaches will love you because the kids will come in and have good finishing back end speed. Going back to the teaching points here, we want strong arms. We're teaching them to be strong and long. You'll often see on the board, you know, swimmers hanging with their elbows off, or the arms where the streamline is really bad. So I'm very particular on telling them I want strong, long arms. You know, it's not a boogie board that we're just putting our tummy on and have jellyfish arms. We want long, strong arms. And then blow bubbles for fast kicks. If I notice that their kicking isn't as fast, often they're very good with their exhalation of bubbles. So I say, blow bubbles with fast kicks. Try and see if you can make your kicks as fast as your bubbles. And immediately it corrects that whole error. Going on to the other fun tools, you'll notice there I've included the games that we did on Monday, which were where are we going? So that could be planets, could be friends, could be places in the world. Where are we driving? Oh, sorry, what are we driving? It could be a jet ski, a rocket, a Ferrari. It could be anything they think of, and you can manipulate how many lengths and then change the different vehicle or the destination on where they're going. This is a new one that I've included. What are we shopping for? So I include this on the one in particular when we've got the board, because then I tell them that the board is a trolley and we're going to go up and down the aisle and we're going to pick something. And so off we go kicking with the board. And when they get to the other side, I say, okay, what did you get from that aisle? Just one thing. Please make it one thing. Otherwise, you're going to get a shopping list each length. So they'll tell me, oh, we got popcorn. I'm like, okay, throw it in your trolley and let's get to the other side. And I can get away with 4, 6, 8 lengths of the smaller pool kicking, and the kids absolutely love it. Just as a feed on that game, if they're getting a little bit tired, after, let's say we've done 4 lengths of the small pool kicking, and now I can see they're a little bit out of breath, I then tell them, okay, let's practice some bubbles. So what we're going to do is when you go under and blow your bubbles, I want you to get your wallet. And then they go under and they come back. And then I'm like, okay, now I want you to go under and blow your bubbles, and you need to choose, are you paying with cash or are you paying with your card? And then they go under and maybe they come up with their card. And then I say, okay, blow your bubbles, go under, go pay with your credit card. And then when they come up again, one more time of bubbles. Okay, go under, make sure you get your receipt, and then let's go. And again, loads of fun. We're reinforcing the breathing and the air exchange. They're also getting a little bit of rest, and then they're ready to move on to some more kicking or something else. The 5th game there is what treasure can you find? Again, the board then becomes your pirate treasure ship. And in particular, if you're using option 1 with the eyes looking right down to the floor, you're getting them to look on the ocean floor for treasure. And please, both with the shopping exercise and the pirate treasure, be sure to tell your kids that you don't want to hear what they found or what they bought until they get to the wall, because otherwise they pop up their head and they're like, I found a treasure chest, and then under, I found the pirate sword, and under, I found an eye patch, and it just, yeah, there's no good quality kicking there, but you gotta love the kids, love the kids. Right, the next one is streamlined front kick. There's option B. This one has no board. So really we're working on great body position. The start here, I use my fun tool, which is called Transformer Start. The kids will pretend to be a transformer. And just to clarify, in case anyone isn't sure about transformers, transformers are one shape and then they transform into another shape. So we start our starting shape, which is that double hand on the back wall with the bum up and feet on the wall. You'll see that we either call it the eagle, the dragon, or the butterfly. And then they're going to become, and then they choose the other animal. Are they going to be a dolphin, a swordfish, a unicorn? So we start in that front ready position, faces in, eyes go down, and they make that excellent pencil shape if it's the swordfish or the unicorn horn, and then off they go, push and glide. Obviously, loads of kicking, fast little kicks, bubbly splashes, find the wall. In this particular exercise, I always ask them to feel for the wall and to finish when they touch the wall. The reason I bring about feeling the wall, and you'll see it under my teaching tips, it's about don't look, find the wall, feel the wall. We don't want them to break that really excellent streamlined position. They've got their hands in front. And the idea of feeling the wall to find the wall is a great way of kids also starting to understand that swimming is not always about looking where you're going, but it's also about feeling where you're going, which is so important for freestyle. In the teaching tips there, I've put there that you either do a breath hold and then bubbles, or you can just do bubbles. In this specific exercise, I ask the child to not breathe, or there's minimal breathing. Maybe there's only one breath, and they will pop up, get that breath. You can give them a little bit of support under the hands, and then immediately those eyes must go down. If I have to reinforce streamlined position, you'll see my teaching tips there around the excellent pencil. So my good pencil is in front, but my excellent pencil is behind my ears. My hands are in a sandwich position, not in a prayer position. My arms are right behind the ears and they are sharp. The pencil is not broken and there's no gap. We want to close that. Those are great teaching points. I have it in my Learn to Swim side, but I thought I'd just drop it in here in case there was something that someone could take from it. So some other teaching fun tools. bow and arrow. Can you hit the bullseye? And the kids get so excited when I say, okay, on the wall, that's the bow. And now make yourself the arrow, sharp as you can with your streamline. Off you go and see if you can hit the bullseye. That determination to hit the bullseye on the wall when they touch on the other side gets them kicking a lot faster. So great exercise for streamline and speedy kick. And then I also introduced what we call seek the wall. It's like a hide and seek game. It's again in streamline just to get the head and body position correct. I tell them that if I see that they didn't peep to find the wall, but they were seeking and they felt the wall, so there the whole way with eyes down, then they get points. But if I saw that little head starting to lift up and peep, oh, you couldn't get points, try again. So there's some tools there. Streamline side kick for freestyle. So here again in the Learn to Stroke development section, it is controversial to be doing the streamline side kick, but like I mentioned, I found it very valuable in teaching rotation, correct kicking. This in particular, because one of the biggest faults I find in freestyle swimmers a little bit further down the line is when they roll to breathe, they stop kicking. And the reason they stop kicking is because the kick changes from that up and down kick to the side, and they don't know how to do that. So this is why it forms such a brilliant base for rotation, for breathing, and then for kicking. So let me run through it and you guys can see if it works for you, but I really do love it. It is difficult in the beginning, but with the right assistance and support is super valuable in developing the stroke. So we start here with a wall start with a streamline arm leading. So now we're not double arm being a dragonfly or a dragon or butterfly on the wall. It is the one arm in front. And then with that leading arm, I make them get their head in the correct position from the get-go where they are sleeping on their pillow. Now, why I say sleeping on the pillow, because when I ask them, how do you sleep on a pillow? They all show me, you know, they sleep like this. They love doing their hands like that. I love that in kids. So the head is on the pillow. The ear is tucked in and there's no gap. And then I say to him, if this was your pillow, could you sleep like this? And they're like, no, no gap. So that is a beautiful way. I call it Sleeping Beauty. Sleep on the pillow to start and then Sleeping Beauty, off you go. So from that position, you're going to push and glide, start kicking. You try to create no splash, obviously because it's a side scissor kick. Long legs, flutter kicks, so quick kicks, long legs, and then the touch to finish. They will need adjustments and they will need assistance here. So please just help as much as you can, but with their body doing the work, you're just tweaking where is needed. So option one, and now this is where we start to bring some breathing in. Option one is the side kick. Let me do it this way so everyone can see. Side kick, keeping the face out, moving the whole way along the length of the pool, 5, 8, 10, 12 meters that you set up. And just breathing out the side. That's just to learn the basic kick. As they advance, you see, I told you it was like Inception. These are options within options. Option two is now practicing to roll to breathe. So we get off the wall and when they're ready, blowing bubbles and coming out, roll to breathe. And there's no emphasis on the amount of time or how many breaths, just where they feel in control. Option three is the most advanced one. We will blow bubbles, face in, roll to breathe, one breath, and one breath, straight back under again. There is a tendency when they are new with this technique to want to go from side body position right onto the front of the tummy and then roll all the way out. We're trying to get them to stay on their side as much as possible, only rolling with the head. But please, again, give them a little leeway. They are little kiddies. So you see in my teaching tips, stay on your side, find the wall, feel the wall. Also, please, it doesn't have to be a 90-degree side. It can be even at a 45-degree side angle, so long as the belly button is leaning into the water and not rolling out so that it looks more like backstroke. So if you were here on Monday and you've seen this, I hope it is quite clear. And if not, please ask me in the questions. That side kick for back and sidekick for freestyle have certain points in the head and the body position and the breathing that are different. So that's very important to teach your kids that we can't be learning sidekick and they don't know how to differentiate between the two. It's just going to lead to problems. So fun tools, I spoke about Sleeping Beauty. There's the one-eyed monster, and that's obviously when we are learning the correct head position for freestyle, that goggle, if you can see my finger, is covering the eye, and we only have one eye sticking out, so you become the one-eyed monster. Some kids are not comfortable putting that full goggle in, so as long as the goggle is touching the water, or the cheek is touching, but if the goggle's touching, I'm like, look, you're the one-eyed monster. My third fun tool, and please caveat again, if you've got kids with wild imaginations who struggle with anxiety, fear, or nightmares, leave this game out. But this tool is called the Bed Monster Magic. So I tell them that all the kids that you've got this power that you can make bed monsters, you know, the little ugly monsters that are under the bed that are not really there, but they know they're there sometimes. We have the power to make them disappear with our bubble magic breath. So we breathe in the magic from the air, the magic spell. We magic eyes, we look through the bed to see them under the bed, and we blow our bubbles, and then they disappear forever. So yeah, it's a wonderful exercise. I once had a mom come and tell me that the daughter came and told her, because the mom sits in on the lesson, that the one night when she did have nightmares, she said, don't worry, Mom, I'll just do my bubble magic and the monster will go forever. And apparently it was quite a funny thing, and then it was a good night. So yeah, swimming is even translating into better sleeping. Right. Log roll, no streamline here, and I put in brackets ADV, which is advanced, with a little asterisk. The asterisk is pointing to the bottom of my teaching tips. Use it or lose it. I'm just briefly going to touch onto this. I don't want to spend too much time here, but please, if this is not working for your swimmer, toss it away. If it is working for your swimmer, please go ahead and use it. Great core, great kicking, rotation, balance. It builds so many good things, but if it doesn't work, it's a disaster. Throw it out. So you're going to start in the ready position, the face in, push and glide softly because there's no streamline. You start the kicking, and it is a head lead kick. The arms are at the side and you are leading from your head. If you notice in my teaching tips, I say eyes down, lead from the top of your head like an alien antenna to show you where to go. So often my bun is actually sitting on the top of my head, but I say to them, imagine if you are an alien and you grew an antenna out of your head so you can make signals to your people at your home planet. If your eyes are down, your antenna will show you where to go. If your eyes start peeping up, your antenna is going to point up and boom, you're going to have to leave Earth, and we don't want you to go. So it's a great way, again, a beautiful visual, and you'll get those eyes down. We're back to the explanation. You're going to roll like a log, and really with the eyes down, we're creating that rotation from left to right. We're not overemphasizing how many kicks. And then if they are turning to breathe, there are options here again. So just in the explanation, you're going to turn the head, the hips, the shoulder, and they come out to the back. And they're finding their position on their back in a little back kick. And then with lots of kicking, they roll in the same direction back onto their tummy. So option 1 is back, then 6 or 10 kicks to find that balance and then to roll back in. Option 2 is where you only come onto your back for 3 kicks and then roll in. And then option 3, this is what you're going for, is the roll to the side, 1 quick breath, roll back in. So again, it could be a little bit controversial because option 1 and 2 could lead to errors where we're teaching our children to roll to breathe and really roll high. I find if you're struggling with swimmers who are just using their neck to breathe, rather let them over exaggerate. You can always correct it when they start getting good with side kick. But again, don't use it if it is just again, the reminder of eyes down, no peeping. Fun tools here is a free diver, because this exercise often needs a little bit longer breath holding and some bubbles. I talk to them about a free diver who doesn't use the scuba mask to go diving. He holds his breath and then he does a beautiful slow exhalation. So you be a free diver, go find your dinner. There's also the exercise of the seal and the otter and getting the treat at the end of the length. We talked on backstroke, as well as being the log, being long and strong, rolling in the waves of the water, and then the hide and seek, again, extra points for not peeping. Right, let me just have a tiny sip of my water. Thank you, everybody. And we're moving on now to the one-arm freestyle focus points. So these come across as exercises, and they are brilliant drills to be doing with your little ones in the pool. These points, these focus points, are actually what you're going to load into the 6 progressive drills that I've got coming up. So please notice again, there's option A with the board and option B no board. But when you're using no board, you must be using the streamline leading arm. I don't do no streamline lead. That's a much more advanced drill. So please make sure that there is the streamline lead, but use the board. If it means that the swimmer is going to have assistance with their body position, or they're floating while they're focusing on rotation and breathing and kicking and the hand, then use the board. It is your best friend at this stage, and really just teaches so many things. So let's start with finger, wrist, elbow. This drill here is obviously explaining how the hand enters the water. Please, as in that big red there, we're not using the board where we're catching the board. I showed you earlier. I don't want to see the arm coming over and catching like a crocodile eating the board. The reason being, and this is why, when we swim in freestyle, here is the water level. I want an entry that fingers go in first, then the wrist, and then the elbow. If there is that crocodile catching, notice as I come to be the crocodile, my elbow drops in first, or my wrist will drop in first, and you get a pushing phase on the water, and we want to completely counteract that. So that's why I do a lot of one-arm drill, one arm there, one arm back, or 3 with the one arm, 3 with the other arm, but keep it where the one hand is your streamline, it's holding the board, and the other one is working under the board. So just running across the drill explanation, you're obviously going to start, push and glide, 6, 8, or 10 kicks, and then once you've recovered the arm, you prepare the arm, and then what I want to see is we enter fingertips, wrist, and elbow. And I do go with the fingertips as in this going in first, middle finger because it's the longest. I'm not a fan of the thumb entry. I feel that's a little bit old school, so I've changed this, and so that's the way I like to do it, fingertips in. And then I always ask them, how far can you reach? And it's so important for them to understand that if they rotate, they can actually stretch further. So I'm going to demonstrate, and in the screen, I'm going to use the screen edge as the edge. So I say to the kids, can you see my arm is as long as it is, and I can't touch. And they're like, I'm like, can you see that? They're like, yeah, so how am I going to touch it? And they have to think about it. And then when I show them with rotation, look at that. Can you see how far I got my arm? Which means I actually managed to make my arms even longer. I didn't even have to grow them. I just turned my body. Beautiful way of getting in, the instruction and understanding of rotation. And then always speaking about the roll to breathe. Like I said, I use those words continuously from Todd Swim into Learn to Swim. They have to understand it's not a head lift. It is a rotation, and the chin tucks in, the gap in the head is eradicated. Please roll to breathe. So the fun tools here, and oh my gosh, if I must tell you how much postman exercise I've used in my life, I'd be a bajillionaire if I had 5 cents for every time. So this postman exercise and parking the airplane in the hangar, I use it, and it is very, very useful. So I explained to the kids by using the board. The board is the post box, and this is the top of the letter box. There's a little slit, and I explained to them that it is only a slit that big that allows you to get the letter in. And off we go. Let's deliver the letter to your friend's house. It's an invitation for your party. And I want you to push it into the slot, and to get them to stretch even further. And I'm looking for that rotation. I say, push that letter all the way to the back so that your invitation is the first one they get. Also, I explained to them again with the incorrect mistakes as a way of teaching, that if the hand lands far away over there, well, that's like putting the letter on the grass. And if I have my hand clap on top of the board, well, then the letter's on top of the post box and it's going to fly away. So make sure, get that letter in. And it works every time. And you think it wouldn't, because long gone are the days of postmen and post boxes and writing letters. But somehow kids, again, just so brilliant with the imagination. Parking the airplane in the hangar, you use the board as the roof of the airplane hangar. And as that airplane is flying high in the sky, and then let me just show you the hangar, we touch down, slowing down, and park it inside. And don't leave half the airplane out. Somebody could come and smash the tail off. Park it in so we can close the garage door. And that works every time. Quiz time is always big here as well, asking them how does the hand and the arm enter, and we're always looking for finger, wrist, elbow entry. Right, catch, pull, push. We heard this on Monday as well, and this really is just to understand the propulsive phase under the water. So we're looking to, again, start in the ready position, push and glide, get off with the kicking. We want to catch the water. I'll just demonstrate. We want to catch the water, pull the water, push the water. And it's just such a good way to get away from the scoop, scoop, scoop. We get length in arm, we get engagement of the elbow, and you'll notice in blue there, I've put the EVF, just in case anyone isn't aware. EVF stands for early vertical forearm, and it is probably one of the most important skills to develop in swimmers in freestyle. The focus obviously comes later on, but I actually use it in the little ones just to create a bit of a visual image so that they can start understanding. So we've obviously spoken about how far can you reach the arm, and then they understand that the rotation comes in there. So you'll notice under my fun tools, swim over the waterfall. I tell them that the hand is like a raft, and we're going, 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 and then down the waterfall, and you'll notice if you get that, sorry, I don't know if you can see, over the waterfall, we engage here, and this brings a beautiful catch-pull phase, which is very linked to EVF. My fun tool for the catch is rock climbing. Again, beautiful way to engage the mind, and kids really understand it. Quite a lot of them have had some kind of party with rock climbing. So I explained to them, how do you climb the rock? You have to catch the rock and engage the hand on that little grip, and you've got to grip the wrist. And that's the best way to grip and pull yourself up when you're rock climbing. You need to do the same in swimming. And the fun tool I use for the push, this is the back end over here. I tell them, dig like a fox. If a fox is digging a hole, he digs some sand, he gets the sand out of the way. Dig and get the sand out of the way. If you leave the sand behind, eventually you dig a hole and you will be blocked in. So they get that visual image beautifully as well. Under my teaching points also with the catch, pull, push, no little chicken wings. Often kids are so excited to be swimming freestyle. You've got these little short chicken wings. We need the elongation in the arm stroke. So I always teach with the thumb going past the leg, that each time you feel that thumb scrape past your leg. And the key points of not your ribs, not your hips, past your legs. And I use that in quiz time all the time as well. The slow, medium, fast, again, I mentioned that on Monday. And this is quite important in terms of timing and rhythm and underwater propulsion. And we're getting them to understand that the hand is entering in a very gentle way, that the catch is slow, we start speeding up, that the pull is medium, and then it's fast push at the end with the thumb past the leg. And please note that in my teaching tips here, I've said this is the great place where you can intro power in the catch and the pull, because they can really understand you taking time to create some power, some water you're holding on to, but that push phase is where the speed is coming. So under my fun tool, I've put Super Sport S. if you've all seen that little Super Sport logo, the bottom tail end of the S really flicks. So now I'm not obsessing about the shape underwater, please, that comes later, but it's that visual of the flicking of the tail, so that if you were painting it, in order to get the flick, you would speed up. And it's the same thing here, that we are moving from a slow catch into a medium and then into a fast push. And demo with no interruptions. And again, keep building the distance, let them get it right over 8, 10, 12 meters and assist wherever they need. And then the last focus point is the high elbow to attack. So this is, again, not an over obsession, but I want to get a visual picture and kids starting to get it right, that once the arm comes out the water, and if they are flicking that Super Sport S, the arm will come out. Now the tendency is for them to lift up the hand where the hand is above the elbow. We're looking for the elbow higher than the hand. Now the way I explain it in the teaching tips, the hand is not higher than the elbow. And if I do, I say, oh, no, that's wrong, guys. We want the elbow higher than the hand. And the elbow carries the hand. Once they understand that visual, it'll start to change. So I use the fun tool of Be the Puppet Master, imagining that there is a puppet string and it carries your hand to the front. And the other fun tool I use is the crane or the digger. So maybe you have dug like the fox, the hole. Now you've scooped up, lift up, carry that sand, and then dump it somewhere else. And the crane and the digger really works very, very well. Dive bomber here is where we're using the hand like a dolphin or a shark or a seagull diving in the water to go and get some dinner. But the dive bomber is in stealth mode, because if the seagull is trying to dive into the water, if we dive in with a big splash, the fish are going to see you coming and they're going to go away. So we want to, again, beautiful angle of attack, high elbow. We're engaging finger, wrist, elbow entry, and we're doing it with stealth mode, no splashes at all. All right, so we're looking at now the progressive drills. And again, like I said, what I've mentioned in the last 8 exercises and these 6 over here, this is not one lesson. We're looking at progressing, adding different bits and pieces together. These are all the tools going in your toolbox. You'll see which way to put them together that works best for your swimmer. There is option A with the board, and again, option B with no board, but please with a streamline arm, that there must be no loss of streamline. So the first one we're working with is streamline kick, 1 breath. So you're going to keep the distance shorter, 8 meters, 10 meters, 12 meters. And this is a beautiful lead on from streamline kick. We're allowing them 1 breath. And so they're going to push off the wall, start their kicking, 1 roll to breathe, get straight back into that excellent streamline, ensure their eyes are down, and kick hard to find the wall. So it's just an amalgamation of introducing breathing, some focus point that you've maybe done with the arm, and then that streamline kick. So a fun tool I use in this one is how far can you go? And we're using 1 breath, and I always say you need to roll to breathe. And then when they come up for the second breath, we put a little marker there, and then we go again for a second or third time to see if we can get that marker even further. It's great if the kids love to improve and love competition. If you see it's putting pressure on them, absolutely just remove it and stick to the basic exercise. Right, the second progression is streamline, 6 kicks, and then 1 arm to breathe. So again, loads of focus on the roll to breathe and the 1 arm to breathe. And the 1 arm, again, use any of the focus drills to work on that 1 arm. So we're going to streamline, push and glide off the wall. There's going to be 6 kicks, and you're going to use your bubbles, making sure that there's that exhalation. There's going to be 1 roll to breathe, and then back into streamline, and you keep repeating. So we're interrupting with 6 kicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, blow those bubbles, roll to breathe, finger, wrist, elbow entry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the reason we're introducing the 6 kick here is it's leading on to teaching them a 6-beat kick. It also is just so that once they've disturbed their body with the breathing, that they can get into a good steady, balanced position so that they can continue. The fun tool I use here is count your kicks, filling the petrol tank with jet fuel. So obviously in a streamlined position, you could be a rocket and a jet, and that once they've blown their bubbles out, all their fuel is finished. So when the hand goes back in, we're going to count the kicks, and you need 6 pumps of the petrol to get all your jet fuel. Another one, and this is again just getting that arm to stretch. I tell them that they've got Inspector Gadget arms, and they say go, 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 Gadget arm. That's just bringing the arm back in, go, 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 Gadget arms, and that will be 6 kicks, and then off we go again. I hope you're all hanging in with me. And the next progression is streamline one arm, breathing every stroke. So it's an advancement on the last one in that we're not waiting for the 6 kicks and then using that arm. We're using a one arm stroke all the time and breathing in each of those. So we start in the ready position, eyes down, push and glide. We got 6, 8, or 10 kicks, so we just get that extended kicking and underwater phase. Then we introduce the one arm, whichever focus, catch, pull, push, slow, medium, fast, the high elbow, whichever focus you want there, use that one focus and then roll to breathe. Right back into streamline and then catch, pull, push, roll to breathe, head down, catch, pull, push. With this one, it's very important now to remind them to keep kicking. If you're not kicking, you're sinking. The focus attention on this repetition of arm, often if they're not an automatic kicker, the legs are going to slow down. A little tip that I've put here in the teaching tips, which I find very useful, and it's so useful from learn to stroke, even right up to adults. And if any of you are swimmers and you have a little bit of a inconsistent freestyle kick, it's often coming, like I said, when we roll to breathe, that there isn't that steady kick there. So once you've rolled to breathe and that hand goes in, my tip is kick a little harder as the hand enters. You don't have to count. I just say kick, kick, kick. And I do it myself personally when I swim, but the learners really take to this. It's a great way to change the focus from the arm back onto the kick. Body position's great again, but then the arm stroke is already engaging. The fun tool here, the only fun tool really that I use in this one is to keep the fire burning. I just tell them that the fire looks like it's going to go out, and you need to use your kicks to keep the flames getting lots of oxygen and burning. Obviously, the fun tools from the focus one arm section, you can load those in. Like this is perfect for the postman exercise or landing the aeroplane. Streamline one arm, breathing every second stroke. It's as the name describes it, really here, once you've pushed off the wall, once you've got your kicks engaged and beautiful streamline, the first step is the one arm and you're focusing on bubbles. And then the second one arm, you're focusing on the breath. So it really is, we're going bubbles, landing the hand, roll to breathe, face in with bubbles, land the hand and roll to breathe. It's a great way to start teaching kids how to use breath exchange so that when they start swimming proper freestyle and having to breathe every 2, 3, 4, 5 strokes, because if they haven't learned how to do that, they get a little bit panicky. Something that's also very important here, very important, is to continuously teach the rotation. Any of the drills, for instance, the high elbow angle of attack, is very difficult if the shoulder is not rotated out. So if you're great in this position, the high elbow is easy. So again, if you've got swimmers who are struggling with a high elbow, check the rotation. It's probably not the fault of the arm, more the rotation. But this brings about the rotation and breathing. But because they are breathing every second and there is the one arm where the bubbles are blowing, they often tend to go flat and only rotate on the breathing. So that's why you make sure every time they're coming out to that side, it does not matter the rotation if the face is in, rotation when the face is out. But I'm big on the rotation here. This is where they're really starting to get stable. So please bring it in. With this exercise, the tool that I use is thumbs up for breathing on the second one, number 2, and thumbs down if they breathe on the 1. Sometimes they're just not used to the pattern of breathing every 2 and they kind of forget, or they start breathing every arm. So I will walk along the pool with them. They'll be in the water, and I'll either be in the water or outside, and I'll walk in their eye view. So as they roll to breathe, I'll show them, yeah, you got it. And if they pop their head up, I'm like, oh, no, next one. And they watch me, and they just need 2 or 3 times of correcting, and then boom, they've got it. Kids are genius. I realize how much I love teaching kids. Can we get back to our pools, please? Okay, let's move on. So this is a biggie. This one is a biggie for me. Again, this can be seen for some as a controversial drill to be teaching, especially in the Learn to Stroke section. I know in some programs, they actually threw catch-up away. They're like, oh, we don't like catch-up. Oh, I love catch-up. I love catch-up. I think it teaches so many of the fundamentals for great freestyle. And yeah, I know there was one of our questions came from our ladies on Monday who was asking about the swimmer was stuck in catch-up. It does happen every now and then. My next exercise eradicates that error. So if you are here tonight, watch out for the next exercise. But catch up for me is a goodie. It's a real good one. So obviously for catch up, you are streamline, push and glide off the wall. You want your 6, 8, or 10 underwater kicks. You start with the left arm, you catch, pull and push, roll to breathe. The arm recovers with a beautiful high elbow. You've got a finger, wrist, elbow entry, and then you land the hand. So my fun tools are number 1 and number 2. Number 1 lands the hand right on top for catch up. But number 2 parks the hand side by side. Please, again, I don't get super finicky about this. I just watch that the entry is correct and the streamline is correct and there actually is a touch. So please remember, catch up is the exercise. 1 arm freestyle will touch, 1 arm freestyle, and there will be a touch. So pilot, fly your planes, that tool is, I'm telling them that they're a pilot and they've got a whole airport of planes. And off they go, they fly the first plane. And I'll just show you in my demo. The plane is coming, it's about to land, it touched down and park. Now, if you're a pilot, you can only fly 1 plane at a time. So you park and then off goes the next airplane, flying high, coming down, you're slowing as you touch down and park. So that is how I use that one. It's just a beautiful way the kids, again, understand that you can't be in 2 planes flying at the same time. You've got to wait to park your plane, get into the next one. Same with drive your cars. I tell them that they have 6 cars at home, and 1 they call the day car and 1 they call the night car. And then they drive the day car and then they park it at home and they park it side by side. And then they get into the other car and then off they go driving and back to park. Now it's the next day. Off we go in the day car and park that car. Great, hop into the next one. We want to go to the movies. It's nighttime and off we go. So it's a great way to make sure that they are coming to that streamlined position, which is so important for catch-up. On my coaching, I always tell them to breathe to one side in catch-up. Obviously, you can do both sides. I am focused big time on the rotation, and I get them to breathe to one side only. I have a basketball court next to my swimming pool on the one side, so I tell them we always breathe to the basketball court. That way, when we move in the one direction, it's the left side. When you come back, it's the right side. The advantage to this is if I or the children forget which arm led, there's not a double practice of the one arm and a negation of the other arm. The other advantage here is I've set it up so that as I walk along the pool, I can always see the mouth. Please don't let them breathe to the opposite side of where you're teaching. You want to be able to hear or see that there is a proper exchange and that the head is in a correct position. I bring in again the tick-tock, explaining to them that when we swim, it's tick and tock, bringing in that rotation from the shoulders and the hips, even when they are not breathing. Again, it's beautiful and easy to breathe. Rotation happens so naturally, but when we go to the other side, the head needs to be anchored, eyes are down, but the body must rotate. So these are things I really ensure are happening for the swimmers just so they avoid picking up any errors further down the line. The fun tools there again, stuck in the mud, that's just ensuring that that front hand waits for the friend to unstick him from the mud, and then off you go and back again. And the ice skating, I will ask the children, how do you ice skate? And then I shuffle my feet like I've got like soles of shoes that don't want to move. And they're like, no, you don't ice skate like that. You have to have really long glides. And then I'm like, okay, great. That's what I want to see in your catch up as well. And they get it. So last but not least is the WD freestyle. So I always teach my freestyle this way, and the reason it's called WD freestyle, it's the whale trying to catch the dolphin. If you have a look at the fun tools, this is the way to break the freestyle that's stuck in catch up. It is also the way to get your freestyle a little bit closer to catch up if you've got those arms turning over like a windmill. So the primary error is obviously the swimmer who's almost vaulting, and we're not teaching vaulting style freestyle because we don't have 22-year-old males who are sprinting 50, 100 meters freestyle. So I like to teach freestyle a little bit closer to catch up, just because of the rotation, the head and body position, the propulsion and all of that. So I say the front hand is a dolphin. Let me give you a better demonstration. And the backhand is a whale. And the whale has jumped out the ocean. It's spotted the dolphin, and the whale wants to eat the dolphin. And then I always say to the kids, do you want the whale to eat the dolphin? And of course, 99% of the time they say no. So if I did catch up, the whale would eat the dolphin. Oh no, that's a sad day. But as the whale is about to enter, the dolphin sees the whale coming and the dolphin swims away. Front hand is the dolphin again. Here comes the whale. As it jumps into the water, the dolphin swims away. If they start to go a little bit too quickly, I'm like, the dolphin can't swim, the whale's still in the air. The dolphin wouldn't have even seen the whale yet. And this is a money maker. This is a beautiful, beautiful thing that I even use, that when my kids have gotten a little bit bigger, like even 12 years old, I'm like, whale catching the dolphin, you guys are a little bit too far apart, you're too close to catch up, and they know exactly where I'm going. Just in the drill explanation, I just want to touch on, this is where I start teaching them to breathe every 3, and of course always reminding them to roll to breathe. If in my teaching tips they tell me, oh no, I can't hold my breath for that long, if you can't do the 3, then I let them breathe every 2, but I tell them, listen, you better be rotating, otherwise I'm going to make you breathe every 3. And either they get to the 3 breaths, and we've got that bilateral breathing, or they will stay on 2 and eventually develop into 4. Again, I'm not going to force my swimmer to fit into my mold. I'm going to keep my eyes open and see what works for them, so long as the execution is really good. Always tick-tock, always reminding them thumb past the leg. And another big pointer here that I work in this whale dolphin freestyle is getting that understanding that freestyle is a stroke where you are replacing your streamline. That again, if that front arm is leading us and telling us where to go, if the other arm is not back yet and we let that one go, well, where are we going? Are we going down, up to the roof? I don't know. So we have the front arm leading, telling us where to go, and then we replace it, we replace it, we replace it. Just allowing that body to know where it's got to go. It's also a great time to introduce stroke count. I use 2 fun exercises here. I do head up freestyle, just to highlight that when the head is in the wrong position, how difficult it is. So head up freestyle, I'll get them to go the distance. If it's 12 meters or 25, it doesn't matter here. And they get to the other side and they're exhausted. And then I say, all right, okay, get your head in the right neutral position. Remember to roll to breathe. And when they get to the other side, they're like, oh my gosh, that's so much easier. With a fast chicken wing freestyle, the head can be up or down, but it's just these short, choppy little chicken wings. When they do get to the other side, they're completely out of breath. They actually need about 30 seconds to recover. And then I tell them, you see, if you just make your arm long and use that rotation, long and stretching, and thumb past the leg, swim back, let's see, and So they learn that with small corrections like adjusting your head position and rotating and keeping the arm long, you actually swim better. And this is the key to any great swimming, is that you need your swimmer to learn the idea that faster isn't better. It's all about efficiency, and this is where it begins. So my advanced drills, like I say, I just put it out there so you can see where we go after the learn to stroke. There's the 12 kick, 6 kick, 3 kick switch, as well as the switch. You'll notice there's the T. Like you noticed with my backstroke, there was an L, but that's a whole nother talk. Those little variations just make a huge difference in technical teaching and quality, I found, with younger kids. Other advanced drills, and it's right into stroke development now. We're looking at sailboat drill, head tap drill, one arm freestyle with no streamline. This is where you put it in, don't put it in earlier. And then obviously teaching them how to freestyle race. End of the lesson. Like I say, I'm a 30-minute go girl. You can have fun, but you need to still be learning. And some of my cool downs, sitting on the board, front sculling. And remember now, this can be done alternating hands. It can be done with dual hands. You can have the hands slightly more forward or more to the side. The key here is that there's a huge introduction of sculling without them overthinking, but they have to move their body so they learn to get a feel. Doggy paddle, very good for front end sculling. Again, they'll think it's really fun. If you've taught them to keep that high elbow with the elbow that goes over the waterfall, that EVF, then doggy paddle really becomes a great learning stroke. Coca-Cola is another fun one. The reason I put Coca-Cola with a 3 over there is some kids who, especially if they've got travel sickness or car sickness, they get quite sick if they're rotating Coca-Cola, which is freestyle backstroke, and also the rotation then stays in only one direction. So my Coca-Cola is a 3-3. It's a 3 freestyle swim and then roll onto the back 3 backstroke swim, roll back, and it's just much better fun drill for rotation. And then lastly, I always let them choose a different stroke if they want it. They've had enough of this sort of long axis swimming, off they go with breaststroke and just enjoy. So to finish off, like I did last time, really just trying to add to everyone's repertoire of being a great teacher. The good teacher explains. The superior teacher demonstrates. The great teacher inspires. Successful teaching must be slow enough so that it's not confusing and fast enough so that it's not boring. And if you get this right, if you explain well, demonstrate great, inspire your kids through your fun and your own energy, teaching will be successful and you will be a great teacher. So thank you for hanging in. And like I said, I didn't want to cut it too short. I knew we'd go over time. I really appreciate your focus. I move so fast through all of this. So please, if you have questions, I'm so happy to answer. But thank you for your time and your attention and just being with me on a Friday night. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Deborah. Yes, there are some questions, and sorry, a couple of people have come back saying that the slides were blurry. Let's have a look what the recording looks like, then we'll make another plan for everybody.
Absolutely perfect.
Right, so a question here from Kerry Lee. I totally agree redoing things properly over a short distance, as don't want to have them swimming a long stretch incorrectly. I teach all boys. Any clever tips on how to convince them that short distance proper is better for them?
Yeah, I use examples, for instance, like learning to write. I'll tell them, if you're trying to go too fast and write a long sentence, eventually it gets so messy. So let's just learn the first few words and you get good at the words and then we put them together. That's one of them. Another thing with boys is they just want to compete. So if you give them competition over a smaller distance, and instead of it being about who is the winner, maybe say, okay, as you guys come, I'm going to look and I'm going to look for 3 things. Who was kicking the best, whose roll to breathe and one-eyed monster was the best, and whose hand entry remembered finger, wrist, elbow. And that way there's the competitive nature but the ability to win or do well is not determined by the distance. And I find that works very well.
Great. How do you start and progress teaching good breathing? So I guess the question is, the progression of good breathing?
Yeah, the breathing has to start in the learn to swim side, and that's why it's in one of my assumptions that it would be there. Basically, the bobbing for bubbles and the 10 in a row is a must. And then starting very early on, again, with the back float onto front float to the back float. And then it's really in the shallow end, learning on the side of the pool, just to get that head position, bubbles down, and coming back out for that breath. You want that chin sort of tucked in. You want that gap closed, like I mentioned, sleeping on the pillow. You can use a lot of those tips that I used about the correct head, the one-eyed monster or sleeping beauty. And they can do that without using arms and legs by just standing on the side of the pool and getting it correct. It's quite good to do it a couple of times to the left and a couple to the right. I really work with that early and learn to swim so that the kids have got that, even in Todd Swim, actually.
Great. Thanks for all the advice from Kirsten. Any tips on helping a child with a freestyle kick when they're a natural breaststroker?
Yeah, this is something that's already in my talk for Monday, because obviously we're talking about breaststroke. So difficult that I've often had to go from learn to swim into learn to stroke and just go straight with a breaststroke and leave freestyle behind. But that's not the case with everybody. It really is practice. And one of the tips that I would say is when they're sitting on the side kicking a milkshake, to make sure that they have got that correct foot position and that they have got those really long legs. I then send these kids who struggle, these breaststroke naturals, I send them home and I tell them that they must lie on their bed, and I actually show them at the pool first. I layer 3 or 4 boards. I say, pretend you're lying on the board like a surfer. And now, with your feet, I want to hear you play the drum. And then you hear, bop, 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 bop. And they often can't keep the rhythm, or the legs very bendy, or the toes smash into the board because the foot is not pointed enough. And I get them to go home and practice, if it's 5 rounds of 20 seconds, just to get used to sort of that little bit of flutter kick and the feel on the top of the foot.
Great. What age do you start with rotation? Do you start this drill with fins?
Yeah, I don't start with fins. I try and let the body develop its ability to float and rotate by itself. I don't have a fixed age that I start rotation. Some kids, and okay, this is a little bit of an exception. I've started a few at 3 years old because they were swimming at 2, 2.5, and they were just naturally going there. But generally it is bigger, maybe 4, maybe 5, definitely 5, 6, 7. It is more on the physical ability of the child than their actual age.
Okay, great. Do you perfect one stroke at a time or do a different stroke each week?
So I start off progressing with freestyle and backstroke. As you've seen, some of my examples mirror, and there's a lot of technical points that I find very close. And then it leaves a bit of space for them to have breathing room rather than focusing completely on one stroke. So my progressions start with backstroke and freestyle. And then at a certain point when they're starting to get quite steady, when I'm about a third of the way through, then I will test for natural breaststroke kick and natural dolphin kick, and if those are there, then I will move on to those. If they're not there, I will keep the focus on freestyle and backstroke, and then introduce slowly just the natural, building a natural breaststroke kick and butterfly kick. But I like to teach on a rotation, but learn to stroke is not always like that. But my stroke development, I do move week by week on a different stroke.
Right, great. That is all the questions that have come through on the Q&A. I just want to have a quick look through the chat, but I think besides all the thank yous and love the energy, great way to spend a Friday, that appears to be all the questions that have come through. And yeah, that's it. Okay.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again, and thank you everybody for all your attention and focus, and yeah, for making it a record Friday of having 70 odd people tune in for the Deborah Show. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you Monday, everyone.
Great,
Thank you.
thanks.
Bye.
See you then.
Bye.